Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We are here and we want to go beyond this past week's message and dive a little bit deeper into the sermon. It was an incredible one by Pastor Stephen.
It was so good. It will come together.
It will come together. Yeah. And he had so many great points, and he kind of like solidified it for me when he was talking about baking and cooking.
Of course.
So that's why we're here with all these baking ingredients, and we're gonna make some waffles today as we dive a little deeper.
Yeah, I'm so excited for us to just walk through this illustration that Pastor made for us. But why don't we just watch the clip all together?
She said, "Leave the grease." She said, "Because I'm about to make your eggs. And when I make your eggs, I'm gonna take these eggs and I'm gonna all things work together." Now, the grease on its own is not something that you wanna eat. But if you'll let me leave the right amount of grease for this recipe that I know. See, because if I make your eggs without grease, she looked at me and said the second thing. She said, "You need to get out of my kitchen." And I hear God saying to somebody who's been telling him what he can't do, what he shouldn't do, I heard the voice of the Lord. I was praying about it, and God said, hit your neighbor, say, "Get out of God's kitchen. Get out of God's kitchen. Get out of God's kitchen." Stop asking God to bring people back who were supposed to go. Get out the kitchen. Stop asking God to take thorns away that he left so you can know it. Get out of the kitchen. Get out of my kitchen.
Get out of God's kitchen.
Get out of God's kitchen.
That was so good.
Have you ever been in the kitchen, or has Stephen ever been in the kitchen when you're cooking and you're like, "Can you get out?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, because sometimes you just want things a certain way,
Yep.
and you have a plan, you have a picture in mind, and you don't want anybody coming in and changing it.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes I can be like that with God too, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, I have my list of things that I want done, how I want done, when I want done. And sometimes I'm like, "God, no, like I got this."
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes when I've been like that, it doesn't end up good for me. And
Yeah.
usually when Stephen comes and helps me in the kitchen, it is better.
Yeah.
And he usually has a better way to do things.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's also like very similar with God, right? Like when we open ourselves up to him and like trust that he has a good plan for us, like it is always better.
Always. I loved how Pastor was talking about how these things in isolation, these ingredients in isolation, are no good. And a lot of times we judge them. It says in the Bible, "Do not judge things before the appointed time."
Yeah.
And if I were to just look at the mix for the pancakes or the milk on its own, I would be judging it and be like, I can't see what that's going to be used for.
And you don't even like milk.
I don't even like milk. I hate milk. So there's so many times in our lives where there's situations that we go through and we're like, God can't use this. This is one of those exceptions. Like it says in the Bible that he can use all things, but maybe not this thing.
Yeah.
But when it all comes together, then that's when it really turns into something beautiful, and you can see and you can reflect on how God's really used it.
We really experience our life in ingredients, right? We experience one part of our life and we think that's it. That's what it's there for. It served its purpose. But God like really sees our life as this meal, right? And that how it all works together. It all works together for his good and for his divine purpose and plan. And I truly do want his plan, because whenever I've trusted God and when I've opened myself up and just surrendered to the way that he wants to do things, like I said before, like it's always so much better and so much more fruit comes from it. And I can see how God is just working.
Yeah. There's so many notes.
We're looking at our notes today.
Yeah. I think that I really liked how Pastor was saying, would you still love it if you knew it came with like the not so great things?
Yes.
And he gave us the illustration of Leah and Rachel. It was like, would you still love it? Would you still love Rachel if it came with a Leah?
Yeah.
And how he talked about the Furtick family getting a dog. Congrats. That's
congrats,
so exciting.
Furtick family.
Specifically Graham, congrats, because it's your dog. It is officially your dog. But there's so many times in my life where I've looked at something, I've been like, I just want the part that I love. I want the pretty part. I don't want the not so pretty part. But
you want the dog snuggles?
Yes.
Not so much the walking on the minus 40 degree weather.
Oh, definitely not the walking in the minus 40. Yeah, no. So there's, even when Pastor was saying that this past Sunday, it really had me evaluating things in my life that I've been asking God for, and it challenged me, and I felt convicted to really reflect, like, would I still love this thing if it came with a dark past or a different area that I didn't know about yet?
Yeah.
And it helped me, because I was like, would I not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, what really helped me was when he said, if it's not good, it's not done.
Oh, that's so good.
And I felt like if we can just keep that perspective, right?
Yeah.
As we're going through our day and our life, to understand that, like, we might be in a challenging season right now. We could be in a challenging moment. But, like, because it's not good yet, and because we haven't seen God in it, like, he is not done. And, like, he is really gonna work it all out. And his plan's gonna be the best.
Yeah.
And I think back to the story of Naomi and Ruth that he was talking about. Like, it would have been so hard for Naomi to stay. I'm sure there was lots of temptation for her to leave, but when she stayed faithful in her calling, and when she kept going in that direction, right, that was set for her, like, she saw God's faithfulness, and there was grace for her.
Yeah.
And I feel like just when we can understand that all our ingredients and all these life experiences and all these trials, they're all working out to make this beautiful picture, or this beautiful creation, like, in a similar way, we can have faith that, like, God has a reason for it, and anything that we can't understand or don't know, like, his grace is going to cover it, and it's going to help us because we're walking in his way.
Yeah. And sometimes grace comes in the form of a person.
Yeah.
Like in the story of Naomi and Ruth, and how God really brought them together to go through and navigate those trials and those difficult seasons together. I think that that's such a beautiful thing. I've seen it so many times in my life, even the way that he's brought us together in different seasons of our lives, and just allowing us to walk alongside someone, and really go through life with someone.
Yeah, it definitely makes all the difference. He also talked about how, like, sometimes with patience comes pain. And, like, sometimes when we're waiting for that whole picture to come together, none of us are free of suffering.
Yeah.
We all have something that we're dealing with, that we're working through, but I feel like it's so important to work that weight.
Yeah.
And, like, work the moments where you can't see that full picture. So not letting yourself get discouraged that God isn't doing things on your timeline or the way that you want, but work your weight and flip it and think, like, what can I be doing right now while I'm waiting for these waffles to cook? Or what can I be doing right now as I know that I have a faithful Father who loves me and who's going to see me through. So what can I do in this moment as this bigger picture and creation is still in progress?
Yeah, I think that something that I've learned in this past season of my life, or even in this current season of my life, is really waiting on the Lord while I'm waiting.
Yeah.
And really just diving deeper and using the time, the waiting season, to really get closer to God and learn more about God's character. Use the time that I have while I'm waiting to do something good, impactful, serve, love on others, and read the Word, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. I love this message. Again, I think it's so important to go back every single week and just, like, reflect on how it's impacting us, because these sermons are for us. And I know that no matter what, like, all of us can get something out of it. Like, God is speaking to us, and so it's such an individual level when we just lean into him and lean into all that he wants to do. So we hope that you found this helpful.
Yeah.
And if any of you can spot the Easter egg on the table for what's coming up this next weekend, let me know. We'd love to know if you could figure out what relates to our 9-year anniversary. 9-year anniversary. So come out to church this weekend. We will be here in Mississauga, 9:30, 11:30, and then out in Whitby at 5:00 p.m. So we can't wait to see you there. And thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your week.